If we're being totally honest, how often have you rushed through sex or faked an orgasm or told yourself it's fine just to avoid taking up too much space? If you ever felt like your pleasure was an inconvenience or like you needed to just hurry up because your partner was waiting, this video is for you. I used to shrink myself so much in the bedroom, and I would rush and fake it and prioritize my partner's experience over mine. And you know what that led to? A total loss of desire. But once I figured out how to stop shrinking and start prioritizing my pleasure, everything changed. My confidence, my libido, my connection to my partner. And since then, over the last 4 years, I've helped hundreds of women stop shrinking and own their pleasure so they can have more connected sex with their partners. So today I want to break down why we do this, how it's hurting us, and exactly the step-by-step of what to do instead so you can actually enjoy sex again. So let's get into it. I remember 6 years ago, I took a class on sex and relationships, and the instructor asked us to reflect and think about how we were showing up in the bedroom inauthentically. Oh my gosh, it hit me like a truck. I realized I had been performing in sex and not actually experiencing it. I was faking orgasms. I was saying it's fine when it wasn't. I was rushing because I felt like I was taking too long. And the worst part was I didn't even realize I was doing it. Once I saw it, I could not unsee it because every time I ignored my own needs, I was training my brain that sex isn't for me, that it's something that I get through, not something that I enjoy. And that's why my desire was so low. So if you've been stuck in this pattern, know this. It's not your fault, but you do have the power to change it. Now, let's talk about why this happens. So if you've ever felt uncomfortable asking for what you need, it's probably because of one of these 4 things. Number 1, people-pleasing conditioning. We've been taught that being a good partner means making other people happy, even at our own expense. Number 2, feeling like a burden. If it feels like we're taking too long, we worry that we're too much, so we rush through it. Number 3, lack of confidence in our pleasure. So if we don't know what we like, it's easier to just go with the flow rather than explore or speak up for what actually feels good. And number 4, the big one, avoidance of discomfort, because it can feel so awkward to say, that doesn't feel good, or I need something different, especially when you don't know what that is. So we tend to endure. But here's the problem. When we habitually override our needs, our body learns that sex isn't for us and our libido disappears. Our connection suffers and sex becomes something that we avoid. So let's talk about how to break this pattern and start taking up space. But before I get into that, if you're liking the video so far, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more content like this. So how to stop shrinking and start enjoying sex again. Step number 1 is commit to taking up space. And this starts with allowing yourself to be present and take time for your pleasure. So if you feel yourself rushing, just take a moment and pause and remind yourself, my pleasure is just as important as my partner's. A really great tool for this is the willingness scale. So instead of forcing yourself to say yes to sex, you can ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how willing am I to turn myself on? If it's low, that's probably a sign that you need more foreplay, more emotional connection, or a shift in how intimacy is happening. Step number 2, get clear on what actually feels good to you. One of the biggest reasons why we fake it and rush is because we don't actually know what we want. That's where pleasure mapping can come in, exploring different types of touch without the pressure of performing. So how to do that is set aside 10 to 15 minutes to explore some touch without any goal of orgasm or it even feeling good. And the key is to just notice what does. Notice what feels good and pay attention to what your body likes, and then bring those things into partnered experiences. Step number 3 is have honest conversations about your pleasure. Okay, let's be real, talking about sex can feel so awkward, but when you're open with your partner, it actually creates more connection, not less. You just need to rip the Band-Aid off. And so here's a simple framework for how to bring it up. Start with permission. Say like, hey, I'd love to talk about something with you. Is now a good time? State the goal. I want sex to feel really good for both of us, and I realize that I haven't been totally honest about what I need. Share the impact. Sounds like sometimes I rush through sex because I feel like I'm taking too long, but I don't want to do that anymore, and I want us to have sex that's amazing for both of us. Finally, make a request. So I'd love to take more time for foreplay. Can we try slowing things down? These conversations do not have to be dramatic. They can be light and easy and even playful, and once you start communicating, everything will shift. If you take nothing else from this video, please remember this. Your pleasure matters. You are not a burden. You are worthy of amazing, fulfilling, deeply connected sex. And if sex hasn't felt that way, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that you haven't had the tools, the conversations, or the safety to make it different. So this is your invitation. Stop shrinking, take up space, and allow yourself to enjoy sex. And if you're wondering like, okay, well, how do I actually start craving sex again? I've got you. I made a whole video breaking down why you don't want sex anymore, and it's not what you think. So click here to watch it now. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.